Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find my website at dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. My books are available on Amazon: Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth, and Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. Feel free to buy me a coffee. You can find that in the podcast notes. I have a return guest on. I'm happy to have Robert Tanguay on. He was last on season 5, episode 27. That was goodness, November 15th, 2023. Can't even read my own writing. Welcome, Robert
Hey,
Tanguay.
Marianne,
How
how
are
are you?
you? Okay, how are you?
I'm excellent, I guess. As good as you can be, right? As
Right,
good as you can be.
right, definitely. So,
The sun
yeah,
is shining.
you've been busy. You've been doing a lot of talking in the re
But
representative
in the Senate
Senate. That's
and
what
the
I meant.
House for the
Yes,
state government,
yes.
New Hampshire, we have 400 House representatives. So basically, they have a quarter of a percent of a vote. But what you'll find in any legislative body, Congress, if they have it that way, is that the Senate judiciary, the
Mhm.
judiciary committees, the family committees, they're the most powerful. Anything that deals with the courts and they protect the courts. It's a joke, man. Like
Mhm.
sometimes I just curse it. I just curse it and walk around and kick rocks.
And curse. That's
Curse.
what I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually talk to myself and I practice speaking. That's pretty much, I
I
guess, why
think
I'm
people,
okay.
but I think people should. They should talk and practice speaking because you never know when you're going to have to speak out.
You know? I think a lot of the stuff that's happening right now is just proof that our judiciary is too powerful. We were just briefly chatting about Trump getting convicted. It's nonstop. I mean, that's basically the way that they have gone with me. They filed a fictitious domestic violence petition civilly after they filed a petition for parenting. And then so the way it tracks out is I'm always under appeal or filing a motion, there's always a deadline. And they know that and they can push it out. I feel like people,
Continuance,
go ahead, I'm
a
sorry.
continuance, constant continuances.
Yeah, well, they just tried to rush it because the more I went into court, the smaller the court felt. And I realized that they're just people on a booster seat. They don't know the law.
Hmm.
They don't know the facts. They lie about the facts
Hmm.
in writing. You bring it up to them, they still continue it. It's horseradish.
It
That's
is.
what it is.
Yeah, I was railroaded too. Everybody knows my story. It just doesn't stop. And there's other parents that have been so railroaded in this unjust, I can't call it a court system. I can't. People want to reform it, but it's not, it's past that. It's gone. You cannot reform corruption. It's got to be abolished.
Yeah. Well, I think you can actually. My first time in court was when I
I
was 5 years old.
object.
Oh, you sound like the attorney at the court. She when I was trying to catch my ex lying, and that video is on there, she objected every question, and then the final one, I object. Like it was so comic. She's really good. She should just be removed as a lawyer, and write fantasy novels on Amazon.
Right. I think they
She's
should. A
very
lot
good.
should. Yes. I know. They're just, I was looking at something about parental alienation, and someone was excusing the lawyers, and it's like, oh no, was this on Instagram? I'm trying to think if it was Instagram or Twitter, but I put it in there, no, no, the lawyers are also contributing to these parents going back to court multiple times, along with instilling and encouraging the parental alienation factor. These lawyers,
Right.
they're a big
Well, they
problem.
make more money. It's
Right.
like a wrestling match. They're both. I talked to someone who had to pay $22,000. I met him randomly at a little restaurant, and
Mhm.
he has to put in. He had to pay $22,000. I call it buttering the biscuits. He had to pay a former county prosecutor who became a criminal defense lawyer to get 3 violations, criminal, they turn to criminal of
Mhm.
a civil protection order. It's called null pros. And then I've sat in on court and they go, you see the public defender, hey, Amy, yeah, you need me to null pros that? Yes, please. And the prosecutor goes over and writes null pros, and it just, the judge doesn't even know what's going on. They come in.
No.
I mean, you can see me fighting my traffic tickets and such. So I want to go over a couple things about like, what are we going to do about it? Before I forget, hashtag starve the lawyers. But the thing is that if you don't have a lawyer, they hire a lawyer, they get an advantage because the court
Mhm.
frowns upon pro se. They don't care. Anyways,
Mhm.
so what I got here, I just want to go over a couple things. My name's Robert Tanguay. You can type in my name, you'll find me. There's another former Robert Tanguay who's a published author. He's now Robin Lee Tanguay, turned to a Mrs. I've talked to him. He's very well documented in toxology with zebra, but I'm the Robert Tanguay that comes up most of the time. I wrote New Hampshire Oliver Twist, and I don't know if you've read it. I think you have. That was a while ago. I haven't looked at it, but you can look that up. New Hampshire Oliver Twist by Robert Tanguay. For some reason, it's hidden. NH Oliver Twist, hashtag anything you want to talk about. I'm also, before this, the founder of emissions tax. I wrote a book called Incentives in the Environment. I care about the environment. The United Nations reached out to me prior to this, prior to COVID. And that's when I think COVID started a lot of problems in the courts.
Mhm.
And then my current project, easylegalsuit.com. I have a forum on there, so easylegalsuit/discuss is, and I can give that to you later. You can go on there, you can post your story, you can post laws by state. It's in the beta form, it works. And then that's how we can communicate, because what are we gonna do about this, Marianne?
I don't know. Yeah.
I have some ideas. So that's what I want to get into with this, if you don't mind.
I'll go right ahead.
I'm not going to start writing right now, but number one, the first thing, I think we really need to starve the family lawyers. The family lawyers are so corrupt and disgusting,
Mhm.
and everybody knows that. I talk to lawyers, I talk to family lawyers, and they get out of it and they sue insurance companies for a living because it makes lots of money and they can go to bed at night. It takes a specific type of sick individual like Oliver Twist to profit off of children's misery.
Oh,
Nobody
yes.
wins in family court except the lawyers and the judges. Nobody wins. The kids lose. The person that gets more custody time loses because they don't realize what they're doing. And so that's, if we could get people to stop paying family lawyers, what we really need to do to fix the judicial system is get more lawyers. So to become a lawyer needs to be easier. That would bring up the competition, that would drive the price down. And then the good lawyers that actually win, those would be the people who could charge $300 an hour.
Mhm.
$300 an hour, Marianne, that's starting. Someone tried to charge me $380 just to meet with her. It's $300 an hour to not know the law, not advocate the law. And then these lawyers need to be held more accountable. Smaller penalties, more accountability, because this big secret is lawyers don't rat on judges and judges don't rat on lawyers unless you're targeted politically. And I've talked to lawyers who've been disbarred. Next thing you know, magically you have a JCC complaint and they all just kick you out. These are actual people, and then they take your family away, and then they put you in through the appeal car wash.
Mhm. Mhm.
You ever been to a car wash? Remember like the Cookie Monster car washes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what they do. They take
Yeah.
someone and throw them in there, like
Oh, yeah.
like a concentration camp.
Oh, it
That's
is.
what it is.
This is just a very horrible thing that has been going on and on for way too long. Too many kids are suffering. They're not taking them away from the parents. They're throwing these kids in foster care and drugging them up.
Have you heard of the designer babies?
I couldn't hear you. The
The designer babies, the
designer?
designer children?
No, uh-uh. Okay.
So someone said it in a meeting because we went to the state house and there's a meeting because we're actually like we're trying to go through the laws that are unconstitutional in our state and repeal them, make a list. And this guy told me that there's designer babies and that foster care. So him and his wife, they tried to take his children away because they're blonde and blue eyes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then there's another one called like something, I don't know. It's on LinkedIn. Drop dead, gorgeous. You know, a 9 out of 10 worldwide mom lost her kid. What type of babies do you think she makes?
Hmm.
Beautiful babies. Now you can't have babies for some reason. You're incapable. You're not able to physically do it because of your sexuality, which is fine. And then you know this like lowly peon that
Hmm.
works in for the state and can flip a switch, turn some paperwork. We choose you, and that's how it works.
Right.
I don't know a specific case, but just imagine. Oh, I mean, if you can dream it, you can do it.
Yeah. Right. Right. And then they get an incentive for adopting out. The faster that happens, there's incentive payments. So there's so much money to be made off these poor kids.
Yeah, but they won't take them from rich kids. They take them from poor kids, poor parents. They won't take them from rich parents. And I said that at the Senate.
Hmm.
There, our government. I figured out a couple things. I don't want to announce them now.
Hmm.
I will say I'm writing a motion for contempt at Supreme Court. I'm basically putting everything out. I've been talking to the Attorney General, Deputy. My paper trail is so thick, and I have a mandatory Supreme Court appeal, state, but they're trying to hide it. And they haven't responded yet. And why I think they're trying to do that is because I caught them lying, caught the Supreme Court lying. They came up with the same decision. They just reworded it. Um, they said that I didn't attempt to assent with the attorney to get an extension, and they struck my brief. The Supreme Court in our state, at least our state, writes fraud. They cover up the cases so that they don't make case law, so that they can keep making money. They're part of the Women's Bar Association. Our one of our justices, her husband is on paid leave. He's at the Port Authority. He's on paid leave getting investigated by the Attorney General. And she might have to recuse herself. It's just so corrupt.
Yes. Well, that's why I just think it should just be abolished and we start over, just clean house, get some fresh judges in there, know what they're doing, know when they see a personality disorder, know when someone's lying, and stop the BS and abolish CPS and foster care while we're at it. Because really, if these foster parents really cared, they wouldn't refer to their kids as Denali payments.
It's so I grew up pretty poor, and there was this guy um who I started to get into trouble, just like mischievous stuff. I put metal in a microwave at school, just calling out for help. I was a smart kid and
Mhm.
had no money and no job. So anyways, I had to do some work busting logs for like, I don't know, $4 an hour, $5 an hour. This was in the 90s, dude. I had hair, everything. Um, and so anyways, this guy would take foster kids and he would work them.
Oh,
And
yes.
then the girls, like, I know that he worked them. I don't know that he did anything. And he had a daughter too. So that it was a payment. But in some cases, it's good. It's good. You can't abolish it. What I really think, I already told you what I think about the lawyers. If you get someone like me as a lawyer,
Mhm.
just let me pass the bar exam, take the oath, right? And be accountable for it. I'm going to remind the judges. The lawyers are supposed to remind the judges of the law, and I see it happen
Mhm.
all the time. Criminal. If you have a lawyer when you pay $5,000 for a criminal, like a DUI or something like that, you're going to get easier, and they might drop it if they can. You'll get a deal. You'll get suspended sentences.
Mhm.
But even I think that the legal system outside of the family court is pretty just.
Mhm.
You can't really chop a baby in half. So
Right.
this is, I want people that I've been working on this for a very long time, and I've finally been able to articulate it. That's why I go speak at the House and the Senate. So if you don't mind, I want to explain something. Okay. Here's a family. It's a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, boy, willingly come together. Hey, let's make a pizza.
Mhm.
Let's make a pizza. Okay, I'll get the dough. You provide the anchovies. I don't know. That's just that. So we make a pizza. All of a sudden, this is typical, not always, and I'll get into that. Because of society, girl goes, oh, the pizza's all done. Cook, thanks for cooking it. By the way, it's my pizza now. My family, right? And then they go, you out, and then I want you to be part of their life. You get this. And then eventually, in a lot of cases, one party will say, but typically the guy gets the crust.
I got the crust.
Right. And that's because maybe you stood up for yourself, which women aren't supposed to do. You're supposed to be a veterinarian,
Right.
more politically connected. Remember the clerk? The
Uh-huh.
clerks still messed that up. And clerks have a lot of power. In New
Oh, yeah.
Hampshire, they assign all motions and cases to judges. And that's the rigmarole that they did in my.
Mm.
So what the reason why, okay, the pizza, okay, you get we're all doing this. Now, if this was a business, right? Imagine two guys get into a business together, right? Let's make a factory. I'll put in 50%, 50%, you put in 50%. And then one partner goes, hey, I just want to end it.
Mm.
That's causing a damage. The family is a asset. The family is an asset. The way the family courts are looking at it as there's no fault divorce. You can just break up unless they're hitting you or drunkenly or cheating on you. There's no fault. And then even when there's an affair now, it's been decriminalized, and every man that I talk to that files for divorce because the woman cheated on it doesn't even matter. And so if you break up the family, you are causing damage to the children, to the family without cause. So they'll either come up, which is my case, with false claims of like, oh, I'm scared, domestic violence. Can't file with the police because it would be a false report. And then they're able to do it on hearsay instead of a trial. The state needs to stay out of families unless there is a criminal conviction. You can't determine the best interest for my children. You weren't there at 1 a.m. every morning while they were throwing up. And so that's what I got. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's how we need to look at this. And there's other people who are talking about it. It's unconstitutional family court. You're breaking a contract with marriage, but when you're having a family, it's a covenant. It is a covenant. It is the ultimate promise that you will take care of these children. I'm not talking about rape babies. I'm not talking, which is a very, very, very small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about, one night stands, which is a very, very small percent, but it actually happens more than rape babies. She's my ex-brother's wife's sister. Didn't even know she was pregnant, according to her. Went into the hospital on Christmas, delivered a baby. Doesn't know who the father is.
Oh.
Poor daughter, huh? Poor girl.
Oh.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
People need to start talking about what the reality is. If you give people a candy bucket to break up a family, some people might do it. I won't, because all I ever wanted was a family. I wanted a family. And so, I don't know. What do you think, Marion? Like, do you think, because you know a little bit about my story, but like, you don't know everything, but you talk to everybody. So that's your superpower.
Well, you can't reform corruption. And I think where we should also start is you and I, we go into Walmart or whatever, and you sometimes I just listen in on people's conversations, and then I might put my 2 cents in. And it's usually don't go into family court, don't go in there. I've told neighbors this, just don't go in there. Okay. The best thing you do is just try to hash it out, but don't go in there at all because your lives will be completely ruined. These lawyers will ruin your lives faster than a judge will.
Right. Well, so I think that courts, the legal system makes money off of contention.
Mhm.
When there's settled law, there's not as much money to be made because it's already settled.
Right. But they
Like,
want the money.
right. So that they keep moving the bar around, running people in circles, wrestling, pretending that they're doing what's right. And when you figure out the law, they retaliate and they do what they did. They didn't even give me a hearing. I didn't even get a final hearing. They put it under. It's just ridiculous. So I
Mhm.
have to go through painfully and write every specific instance that happened, and it hurts me,
Oh,
right? It
yeah,
really
you have
hurts
to
me.
relive it.
I haven't seen my kids since December 1st, 2022. They have an order for me to violate the protection order, which would the police would immediately have to arrest me. They know about it and they still haven't done anything. So it's their human trafficking. Like seriously,
Mhm.
I cry. You won't see me cry during the day. I actually need a lawyer to make me cry on the stand. But
Mm.
they're human trafficking. In New Hampshire, it's 633:7, human trafficking by abuse of the legal process. That is not the federal statute, though. So states may have it. You got to look at your laws. And then, so I guess the third part that I want to talk about, if I'll give you a chance to respond. I talk a lot.
That's
And
okay.
um, we need, I want to kind of gripe about, and I understand that people are hurt. They're dividing and conquering one by one. I can watch the cases in my state. They deal with one person who actually has a case, get rid of them,
Mhm.
dismiss it. Deal with one, now they're dealing with me. But I have a huge record. People are all talk. Nobody's doing it. Nobody's going to come save you. I saw that meme. Nobody's going to come save you.
Mhm.
You have to save yourself, but that's why they all help each other out. They all take care of cases. The police choose what to prosecute and who to prosecute. Let's prosecute Trump in New York over a porn star
Yeah. Yeah.
that did not get raped,
No.
willingly did it. And what? Maybe there's some documents.
Right, and this was all done at taxpayers' expense. I'm sure these New Yorkers are ticked off.
Have you seen AOC getting? I like AOC. I think she's gorgeous. And I have democratic values, but she's getting reamed out at her town halls
Mm.
because she's not delivering on what she said she's going to do because they never do. We
Mm.
need 3 parties. We need an independent party. There's 3 branches of government, but there's really only one, the judiciary. The
Right.
judiciary can do whatever they want. You win $1 million, go fuck yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
You owe $1 million, the right people, go fuck yourself.
Mhm.
Oh, we don't like you, Mr. Tanguay, bench warrant.
Mhm.
And then all your stuff gets thrown to the street, lit on fire, and they specifically do not go against family powers. They're destroying our family because who's going to work at McDonald's? Who's going to work at Chuck E. Cheese?
Mm.
Who's going to manage Walgreens? Like the actual store, not the corporate, you
Right,
know,
right.
$250,000 a year mid-level management. We're talking about the guy there. It's the people at McDonald's are either young, 16,
Uh-huh.
and just starting out, or they're out on jail, or they need to pay child support. That's the way it really works.
Or if you want to screw over your ex, like was done to me, why not just call CPS and put in some false allegations at taxpayer expense, cost
Right.
the ex their career, and then go after them for child support? and there's no way they can work because they're under a CPS investigation indication.
Oh,
I'm
gee,
gonna
I don't know anyone that would never happen, Marianne.
It
Whoever's
happens.
saying that is just
Oh,
foolish.
yeah, yeah, they're crazy. That's what they call
Yeah.
you. They call you crazy. But no, that is what happened to me.
But I'm
And
sure whoever did that, this person, had an extensive criminal background and like they were on this path to corruption anyways, right? There
right.
was, they just got let out of prison, like it says in the domestic violence protocols, which the state of New Hampshire has. They give instances of if you are the defendant may have just gotten out of prison.
Uh,
Dude, I didn't, even by statute, if what they said I did was true, it wasn't a crime.
mhm, mhm,
Harassment is, you got to read your statutes. Here's the problem that we all do. So nobody's doing anything.
mm,
I'm fucking broke. Okay. I've talked my way into out of getting out of eviction. Right.
mhm.
Here's my cell phone. It fell
Oh,
off my car. I'm working so luckily my watch works. I mean, I've sold everything. The one thing I have is this chain. Do you know who gave it to me? A girl.
mhm,
I wasn't ready to get married. No girlfriend. This
mhm.
reminds me that women love me because that's what
Yeah.
happens. You might think that, oh, all men hate you. How could someone do this to you? No, they're fucking corrupt. And what happened is that the other partner got jealous of the bond that you had with them, the control that you could have. She could have come back to you. I mean,
Mhm,
if it now you're happy, but it hurts your self-esteem and it's defamation. So what you
mhm,
should have done and what people need to do and what I'm getting prepared to do, you need to sue the lawyers. You need to sue the state if you can. You need to sue the person that committed fraud. Criminal defamation in our state is criminal,
mhm.
but then there's also civil defamation because you can't sue the judges. Immunity is absolute. You can get them arrested. So who do you do? What do? You sue the attorney general. You sue the police. But it's going to take more than one person. Or you're going to have to sustain that person because they suffocate you. They starve you out. They
Mhm.
purposely do it. It's all state money. It's all kicking the can down the curb. And that's eventually, because it was so grotesque in your state, Kids for Cash,
Yeah.
that who's our judge, is doing some Fed time.
And the other one they let out early because of the pandemic. Isn't that convenient?
Look, I don't think these people purposely went against me. I think that they're biased.
Mm,
I have contracts that specifically are illegal, biased against men and only for women.
mhm,
But I think that they justify it and it's laziness. It's more laziness than anything.
mhm.
And they know that they're shielded. Imagine you had a job that paid a lot of money.
I did.
Well, that you can't get fired from.
Oh,
You can't get fired as a judge. You can get voted out in your state, not in my state. They're appointed for life by the
mm.
governor.
Ours are elected over here.
Yeah, which has its own problems.
Oh,
But
yes.
I think it's better though. I think it's better because if a judge keeps coming up, and that's why you guys need to go. Okay, so I'm trying to create a dossier in a public forum for every public official. And that's the beginnings of that is on Easy Legal Suit. You can go publish Judge fucking Burns, Judge Justice League, whatever his name is, right? And you could say that he did this, this, and this on this date. Here's the document. Here's this. And then so people aren't starting at step zero thinking they're because when I went to court when I was 5,
Mhm,
they took care of me. They did me right because
mhm,
it fit the narrative of what they want to do. In their heads, they're doing the right thing or
mhm,
they're justifying it. They're not completely evil.
mhm.
I just want it to be known that the mother's lying and the lawyer lied and that they're not following the law specifically. I could cite off laws, but they're not going to make sense to you. That's why everybody needs to read their own laws and needs to be local. All politics is local. The courts is politics.
And
It's
go ahead.
no.
Okay, well, these judges also, none of them are reading or even looking at the evidence. And I also heard that sometimes these clerks say they'll look at the evidence, say, well, I don't know, should the judge look at this? And then they toss it. So you really
Oh,
can't
yeah.
blame the judge. He may not have known about the evidence, but there's something, even when a pro se is standing there with a thousand pieces of evidence, they should look through it.
Yeah. Well, that's because there's no jury, but jury's scary too.
Oh, yeah.
The, so the only way I can think of it, I thought through it all because a jury, one of your guests took away almost all parenting rights from her. Thought it was best for the kids to live in a father with the jury. She accepted it. It's not a zero sum game. Yeah, it's not. It can't give one power to one.
Mhm.
So you got to look at it as a business. If it's not a mutual breaking up of the family, because we're not talking about money, we're talking about irreplaceable time,
Right.
then the primary tortfeasor, the person who caused the problem, should not lose everything, but that needs to be considered. There needs to be a formula. And so, but if you read the laws, the laws are there. These things have already, what they do is they go and there's all this public outrage, and it was back in the 50s, and then they make the laws right
Mhm.
back when before the internet, before doom scrolling, and people get together and they actually talk to people and shake hands, and you can meet with the mayor. And then anyways, they make these rules and then people forget about them and then they go back in. But now what's happening with all these uh what do you call them, special committees for family courts, which we have in our state, they're in New York, they're everywhere because it's happening nationwide, is they're just hiding it. They're hiding the fact that domestic violence civil protection orders in the state of New Hampshire are unconstitutional. In order to take away someone's rights, you have to give them a lawyer.
Mm.
You have to give them a trial by
Mhm.
jury because you're taking away their children. And the federal government, Supreme Court, doesn't want to deal with this because this is what feeds a lot of lawyers. It's a $60 billion a year industry. Don't quote me, but
Yeah.
right? So as long as there's contention, it could be a $5 billion a year industry. You don't need a lawyer. And so the Supreme Courts have left it up to the states.
Mm.
And then all the FBI, who do you think works for the Pennsylvania FBI? Pennsylvania families that have worked their way up, Pennsylvania judge families. You go to the FBI, you're still going to the state of New Hampshire. You have to talk to the president of the
Mhm.
United States, basically, and he doesn't even know what he's eating for breakfast. Uh,
I know. It's just very, yeah, parents. Okay, so a lot of these pro se's, people that want to represent themselves, some of them just emotionally can't do it. For one reason or another, they cannot do it. And then if they get an 18B, which is a, court appointed attorney, that's in New York State is an 18B. But I'm just saying every state I'm sure has them, but not in family court.
they hung up on me. The
Mm.
lawyers are stupid. I'd be a better lawyer than them. They know it. I've had other.
Yeah, I think I would be too.
Yeah. I tell the person who introduced me to you to me. Yes. I told her she needs to be on either the committee of DCYF. She should be the supervisor making six figures, the director. All it takes is a governor. Our governor is super corrupt. Who's going to run for president? Who's going to run for vice? He's not even running for anything. He's going to go into private lobbying, backwater deals. He's fleeing the state because, oh, did you hear about the $38 million verdict in New Hampshire? Jury verdict?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, $38 million for one person who was raped and beat in 1999. The jury awarded it. And what does the attorney general do? Oh, it's passed. It's too much. We can only cap them at $400,000, $450,000. Our constitution, dude, the laws aren't even in alignment with the Constitution. Our Constitution, I would argue, it's called Article 8, The government shall be accountable, waives all sovereign immunity. Do you know what sovereign immunity is?
That these people cannot just run the show. I can't explain it.
No, you
My brain
can't.
is shot.
They're saying that you can't sue them.
Right.
They're
That, yeah,
saying,
immune.
so they
Oh,
wrote laws saying that you can't sue the judicial branch,
mhm.
which in our state is unconstitutional.
It is.
Pennsylvania's New Hampshire's the first constitution in the entire, before our constitution federal in 1788, the New Hampshire Constitution came out in 1784. Then, so it says 1788, then they started adding the amendments afterwards, like 1792.
Mhm.
Our Constitution is the primary foundation. No discrimination for sex,
Mhm.
gender. And sex could be like, I don't care if you like to have a partner that's willingly wants, and they're a troglodyte. I don't know what, it doesn't matter. It's
Mhm.
not my right. My rights begin with me and my children.
Mhm.
That's it. Don't touch my children. Leave my children alone.
Mhm.
Leave me alone. And it's super frustrating, but people aren't doing anything. That's kind of what I want to bitch about. We're just talking, we need to do. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
I think people need to speak out and expose the bad actors. I had a panel on from North Carolina last week and spoke out on this rogue attorney from hell.
You
And
know,
the thing is, he uses debtor's prison, which was abolished in 1833, but he uses this to threaten people, and he does put people in there. That has to stop.
this is a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't do it. The judge does it.
Oh, but he says he does it. I mean, this
Oh,
is like
oh,
absolute,
that's his advertising?
I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I got an ad. The ad is saying complex, high net worth family cases. That's what they're fishing for. They're fishing for the six-figure cases, these lawyers. I
Mhm.
can't believe they let him say that. He should be disbarred for that.
Well,
Family
yeah,
court's supposed to be sympathetic. That's why it has the no rules of evidence, but they're not. They're
right.
just
Well,
so.
they get this, they jailed a court watcher who was 70 years old and a veteran because he just said, "Well, are the court watchers allowed to watch the next," I think it was the next case, and, then he saw a CPS caseworker that totally destroyed his family, and he made some type of outburst. But it wasn't, the judge just could have said, "Hey, just leave, all the
Yeah,
whatever." But no, they chose to handcuff him and lock him up for 24 hours and keep him in a very cold cell, and this is a 70-year-old man.
yeah, good for him. He still has some life in him.
Yeah,
Nothing matters except for the court. And oh, here's the other thing I've been working on. Our rights only exist when others defend them. So even if I'm right, I have they could lock me away.
right.
Galileo, Galileo, let me go.
Mhm.
Magnifico. You know that song
Yeah.
by, you know what that's about? He's gay.
Mhm.
Nobody understands him because it's in the 70s. Freddie Mercury is a genius. He's
Mhm,
gay,
mhm.
locked away. Like Galileo was locked away. He knew that the earth rotated around the sun.
Right.
So did the church. And instead of killing him, church was very, very powerful. It's still powerful now, but very, very powerful then. Um, and so they locked him away. Galileo, Galileo, let me go. So nothing matters. All this doesn't matter. It's
Mhm,
just talking. We're not going to get enough distribution. What matters is the lawsuits.
mhm. Well, another issue that plays into that, if a parent goes to sue that attorney, um, and the state, okay, like, that other parent will have to play into that, right? They'll have to be called to the stand and or, discovery.
It doesn't happen. That's what I'm saying. We're trying things that,
Right,
at least locally,
right.
it's like crabs in a bucket. My local group is not helping me. at all, except for the person who introduced me, but she doesn't even have any skin in the game except for she cares.
Yeah.
So these parents that are getting abused or so beat down, most people are cowards. That's, I guess, what I would say. I'm not. I will not be broken. I will not be broken at all. I'm right. I know I need people to help me survive. In our Constitution, the New Hampshire Constitution, you have a right to aid others. You have a right to aid others. I can pull it up right now. I think it's Article 2, natural rights, if not 3, from the original Constitution, 1784. You have the right to aid others, but I can't force you. In Vermont, they have a law on the statute where in the laws where you must, if you come to see someone like in the woods, it's a Good Samaritan law. You must aid them, or you're hurting them. But not in New Hampshire, which is, I think it's fine. I mean, you can't force people to do it. Even the judge can't make you do anything. So that judge, that lawyer, ooh, I'm the guy. Hire me to get back at your ex and ruin your family, you piece of shit. The judge signed the orders. You need to sue him, put him in front of a jury. The first thing they're going to do is motion to dismiss. So we need to slow it down. And what they do, the reason why I sped it up so much, is because they stole my soul. They stole my children from me. I'm going to do anything. And I couldn't believe, I thought it was a joke. I thought I was going to go in there. It was going to be like every other time I've gone to court and I get treated with respect. No, it's a fucking joke, Marianne.
It is.
People need to be angry, and it's okay to be angry, because what would you do if I stole your kid? What would you do if I put your kid in an ice cream truck? Oh, it's just a vacation. No, it's kidnapping. It's interference with custody, lying, deceit, fraud,
People won't
perjury.
get it until it happens to them. Then they're afraid to speak out. And I totally praise this panel in North Carolina that spoke out last week. And Amy Palacios was telling people, you've got to speak out.
Yeah, well, it's not only speaking out, because you got to sustain the speaking out.
Oh, she is. Let me tell you what. She's one of my poster children.
Nice. There's another young girl, Madison, or a lot of these people are on LinkedIn. So go on LinkedIn, connect with this. It's thriving on there. Can't act crazy though. But I see people, women who are, engineers, computer engineers. I mean, these are heavy hitter, make good money. We need to create an economy so we can sustain it, because they have economy, a very well-funded economy with the Domestic Violence Coalition, CASA, CP, all the government jobs, all the government pensions, all going together to protect the top dogs. And then they throw the people, the little ones, to the wolves. I saw a thing the other day, a buffalo, like a water buffalo or something, and I thought of it to the woods. So there's this buffalo that's running and it's running. It's not that fast, but it's starting to get away. So then this other alpha buffalo comes through, purposely knocks the other water buffalo down, and then all the wolves or whatever get him, and then this giant buffalo gets away. Instead of fighting them like Muhammad Ali,
Right.
right? Cowards. They're
Yeah.
cowards. So how do we get these people to do something? Get them to easy legal suit /discuss. You can post your story on there. You're going to get links. We need to be building websites, interactive forums. We need to sue these people, sue them in court. You're broke, write a lawsuit, say you're poor, get it in without a filing fee, maintain it. Enough people go against one person.
Oh, I totally agree. But these parents that do go against, like, well, like in my case, I ran a federal case, and what the ex did was further alienate these kids from me because he was getting picked on. So I mean, you're going to lose it a lot. And I think, you count on this other parent not reading documents, but then they'll take the children to the psychologist for family counseling, even though one parent is not invited. And then that parent will start reading court orders and Who knows? And
So
these
you,
psychologists
so,
allow it.
but no, I know that, well, once they gain control, they turn the ship into a slave ship
Right.
and hold you. And that's human trafficking by abuse of the legal process, at least in the state of New Hampshire. You
Hmm.
need to slow it down. You need to control your emotions. And you need to realize that you're not going to get a fair shake. Your lawyer is stupid. They make lots of money off of elongating the case, juicing you. And the longer you go with them, the more it's going to cost you to switch to another lawyer. And then you end up
Hmm.
pro se, and then the other lawyer goes, boom, 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 boom. Rule 5682, carpal tunnel lincum.
Yep.
Just make up shit instead
Oh,
of
yes.
so
Yes.
they just make up stuff. I'm the only one who did the rules. So what I should have done is you need to go and read every law before you file an action. If you're going to represent yourself, read every law. And then when the judge doesn't go, immediately go against, say, you're violating the law. This is the law you're violating. You must correct it. And then file a judicial complaint immediately. File a complaint with the police for official oppression. We have it in our state, official oppression. That should be, just type in, you got to figure out what your laws are in your state. And ours, it's RSA. So all I do is type in NHRSA official oppression, comes
Mhm.
up. Our laws are organized nice and neatly. So all you have to do, I started, wait till you see what I'm about to do. The governor has not been doing his job. He broke the
Mm-mm.
law. I caught him. I'm going to sue him for
Mhm.
it. And I figured out how I'm going to sue him. You got to read it. So stop it at the beginning and dig your feet in, because except for a bench warrant, which is very scary, that's why you don't swear in court. You don't just
Right.
stand up. Except for a bench warrant,
Mhm.
you have all the appeals, drag it out. Trump's not going to jail tomorrow. And he might not even get sentenced to jail. They might just give him a fine, convict him, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's fucking horseshit.
Mhm.
But it was a hit job. But do you see what I'm saying? I did it. I made the mistake. You did too. That other people's need to realize from the beginning, they are going to retaliate you against you because you are not paying their legal lobby. You are not paying
Right.
for the lawyers who are stupid. Their lawyers are dumb. They have 20 cases. They're all fighting. They don't know what they're doing. So they stick to one narrative and they repeat it. And you'll see in my court case, she called, we weren't married. She called the mother Mrs. Tanguay. That's my name. I'm Robert
That's what
Tanguay.
my judge did. She called me by my ex-husband's last name.
No, the
Oh,
lawyer, the lawyers are stupid. The judge is even dumber.
yeah. Oh, this
You
is why
know,
I'm so glad I had you on.
I know. I see. I told you I could talk. I'll eat up 2 hours, but I think off air. I'm trying to write a paper, but we really got to do this. You're coming out with a new book, right?
Yes.
Right. We really got to do this. We all got to help each other out. If you have money and you have a job and you used to be affected by this, you need to support people like me. I have an active mandatory appeal. I am going to sue these people. And then
Right.
I'm going to ask the court to null pros the criminal charges against the mother. I don't
Mhm.
want her going to jail. I want it to order counseling. How can we co-parent if we're fighting and things are fraudulent?
Mhm.
But we need to work together. We need to build these websites and social media networks and support
Mhm.
this, because that's what we have to get together and do.
Now, how can people reach you if they have any questions?
They can type in Robert Tanguay and they can find me. They can put a comment on my YouTube. Uh, you can put my link. So roberttanguay.com. Just type in Robert Tanguay. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I've made it very apparent, but I'll give you some links. Um, you can put my phone number. If you go to Easy Legal Suit, my 800 number's up there.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna be like honest. I don't have any shame. I have an 800 number. I have servers that are paid. I'm broke. I have a job as a waiter though, and so I'm able to do it. And so I have to figure out this paper. I'm a hustler. I'll get money.
Mhm.
But if you have a business or you have a business idea, I don't want people to donate money to me. Hire me. And it's all on anymarketingefficiency.com. We'll put a link in the description /hire. I can build websites. I can write reports. I cannot be your lawyer. I am not a lawyer and I cannot give you tax advice.
Mhm. Mhm. Fair enough.
But
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I'd like to have you come back on in the future here.
no way. No way, man.
Oh,
We're,
well,
we're done. This is it.
that's it.
This is it. No, but we need to do something about it because I've seen
Right.
you've had a lot of great guests
Mhm.
and they're good. And then when I contact people, they don't do anything. But then there's also some really good guests that a lady who's lobbying. I forget her name, but I just watching her last night. She was just on.
Was it B. Marney?
I'm connected with B.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't watch that one. I breezed through it. The other lady, it was just her.
Oh, Jennifer Hankins Lundy.
Yeah, she knows her stuff and she's articulate. People are gonna see if she stands up, if you stand up too. Like I know you're doing it, what you're doing, I'm not saying, but what's someone gonna say? People love me. Everybody loves me. I'm in my office. I've been here for 5 years. They know what I'm going through. They don't want to get involved, and nobody wants to
Oh.
get involved. So like when black people, Martin Luther King changed the law, but do you know who really changed it? Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy.
Mm.
They're the ones who made people laugh about race. And that's how you get the attention for everybody.
Mhm.
Because this shit is boring. And
Right.
I don't want to deal with it. How would someone else want to deal with it?
Yeah. Yeah. Very sad and true. But
So
hey,
pay me.
yeah. Well,
So
don't jump
should
off.
we assume? All right,
Slam the
man.
Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie, and join us again here in the future with Robert Tanguay, whether he likes it or not, and other exciting guests. Thank you so much, Robert.
You're welcome. Later, Marianne.